What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the UFC show here on the Run Pure Sports channel, talking May 13th card, UFC Fight Night, Rozenstruik versus Almeida, 11-fight card on tap. We'll, of course, talk betting, DFS, all that good stuff. Joined today, as always, by Title. And my first show here with Drew. How you doing, man?
Yeah, doing good. First time, obviously, doing it with you, but seen a lot of your shows in the past, so it's been fun to hop on a show with you. Yeah, the old baseball shows and stuff. So a long time in the DFS industry, so fun to be on a show with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to breaking down the fights with you guys. Like I said, 11 fights on this card. We have had a couple cancellations, so a little bit of a smaller card. And right off the bat, I will say it starts at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. I don't know, Title. Potential overlay, I'm looking at like 7,500 out of 32,000 filled up in the big DraftKings GPP. Not the best card in the world and kind of a weird start time. So maybe something to keep an eye on. You know, sometimes this point of the show, we're talking about getting in tournaments before they fill up. Plenty of room right now. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. But yeah, without further ado, let's break down this card. We do start in the women's division. Jessica Rose Clark and Tainara Lisboa making her UFC debut. Pretty much a coin flip to start this one off. Lisboa, slight favorite, maybe around minus 115, minus 120, depending on where you look. Title, we'll kick it to you first. What do you see between these two ladies?
Yeah, not the best fight to open the card, but one I'll actually have interest in DFS. We only have 11 fights, so ownership-wise, finding leverage spots, like you said, it's going to be hard not having duplicating with 80 people or something. So right away, Jessica Rose Clark opened minus 155. Lisboa is 135. Now Lisboa is like a minus 120 plus 100 favorite, and she is $600 cheaper. So naturally, Lisboa is going to be one of the more chalky fighters on the card. And man, she's making her UFC debut. She's 5-2. All 5 of her wins are against like Uber drivers, like 0-1, 0-2, 0-3. I mean, just complete bums. Yeah, she looked good in the round 1 when she finishes them, but no good competition. Her loss, Norma Dumont, her first fight as a pro, gets submitted in the first round. Dumont solid. The other one, she fought a solid girl, lost by unanimous decision. So who knows what she's going to look like. She is a 2-time Muay Thai world champion, so on the feet, she's definitely a good striker. But on the mat, who knows how it is. She does have submissions on her record, but like I said, it's against people that should not have been in the ring or in the octagon. I'll just say that. As far as Jessica Rose Clark, she's 11-8, 4-4 in the UFC. I mean, she's not very good, but she's at least fought decent competition. She is 0-2 in her last 2, lost by first-round armbar to Stephanie Egger and then Julia Stoliarenko. And she broke her arm the last fight against Stoliarenko. So she hasn't fought in like 10 months. She's a wrestler, though. So you get a clash of styles, which is why I like it right away. The wrestler in Rose Clark, who is the small dog, and she's good leverage on this. Like I said, I think Lisboa is going to be one of the chalkier fighters just because of the price. Dogs are really tough to come by. And it's a coin flip fight. I mean, it's gross spending 600 more. It's hard to fit Clark in your lineup so they don't feel good. But I'll be overweight on Clark. I think it's one of the better leverage spots on the slate. I think the winner probably does score well if it's Clark. I think she has success, a lot of takedowns, with a lot of top control. Just go back, look at her fight against Jocelyn Edwards. A lot of control time in that. Edwards is a solid fighter. So, yeah, I'll have interest in this one for sure to start off in the mid-tier. I like a lot of the mid-tier fights. We'll talk about these dogs. A lot of big favorites on this card. So dogs are tough. I like this mid-tier range. I'm going to pick Jessica Rose Clark. I do not feel strongly about it, but I'll be more overweight on Clark to the field than I will on Lisboa just because I think Lisboa will be over double the ownership. So, yeah, clash of styles. It's a fun fight. Lisboa on the feet, Clark on the mat. I'll take the wrestler and the ownership discount, but not a great fight for like skill-wise to start the card, but DFS-wise, it's one that it'll be important for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Drew, let's go over to you. Ownership-wise, what are you seeing for these two fighters, and which side do you lean on your own DFS lineups?
Yeah, so I got Jessica Rose Clark right at 21% and Lisboa around 30%, 29 to 30%. So I know we had a scratch earlier today, so that could shift around a little bit. But yeah, to his point, I mean, Rose Clark would be the leverage spot. You're going to get a higher price fighter with lower implied odds. Overall, the fight I'm not super excited about. I mean, obviously the leverage spot is on Rose Clark, so I do have her marked down as the leverage spot. But I think this fight probably has about 50% combined ownership, and I'll probably be at like 33, 35%. So I'll be underweight on the fight. If I took a side, though, that I would want to be overweight, it would be Rose Clark to Title's point. So overall, though, I'm not super excited about starting a lot of lineups with this one. So I'm probably a little bit different than Title there. Yeah, just the ownership is going to get congested. It's only 11 fights as of now, with only we got 12 hours left, 15 hours left. So we'll see if that holds true. But that's where I stand.
Yeah, to me, Lisboa seems like maybe some bad chalk. I mean, Tyler, we've talked about this before. You kind of got to win almost a parlay with her, right? It's basically a coin flip fight. And even if she wins the fight, she might not score particularly well, right? Like it could be Clark with some top control where Lisboa is doing absolutely nothing. And then Lisboa is like only a striker, right? We think for the most part.
Definitely.
And a finish seems, I don't know, relatively unlikely to me. So, yeah, I think I'm with you guys on Clark probably being the better DFS play in this one. Let's move on to the next fight here. Two UFC veterans, Gabe Green and Brian Battle. Like you said, Title, there are a number of fights on this card with some pretty big odds discrepancies, but this is another one that's pretty closely lined. Gabe Green sitting around -135 to -140. Both these fighters coming off a loss. I actually added up if you look at the last two fights for all the fighters on this card, it's like well under 500 the combined record for the 22 fighters, which is a weird thing to say, but it's just that type of card. But yeah, closely lined fight here. I think this one will take place mostly on the feet. What do you see between Battle and Green, Title?
Yeah, like I hinted at earlier, I like the mid-tier fights. Most of my lineups will not be stars and scrubs because I just don't like too many dogs. So this is a fight I'll definitely be overweight on. One of my favorite DFS fights on the card. These two are both very similar to me in a lot of ways. Battle does have a 4-inch height and 4-inch reach advantage. But both guys pressure fighters. Both guys have good cardio. Both guys have a good chin. They throw good volume. So I'm expecting a fun fight on the feet. But the big difference between these two and the easiest path to victory is if Gabe Green goes to the wrestling. He's not the best wrestler. He did take down Phil Rowe twice, took down Ian Gary once. But it's more so Brian Battle looks to have no takedown defense, looks to have no get-up game off his back. Last fight, Fakhretdinov, definitely a way better wrestler than Gabe Green, but took him down 7 times, controlled him for over 14 minutes. Gilbert Urbina took Battle down twice. Tresean Gore took Battle down twice. Man, this looks like an easy game plan. If you come in, if Gabe Green gets on his wrestling shoes, I don't think Battle can stop takedowns. His get-up game doesn't look great. We could see a lot of takedowns and control time in this one. I'm not definitely planning on that because it's not like this guy is a primary wrestler. He has shown in the past, but yeah, both guys on the feet, just like Gabe Green doesn't shoot for any takedowns. Flip a coin flip fight, but one guy has that path that I think could be easy, whereas Battle doesn't. Give me Gabe Green in this one, but I'll be overweight on this fight. High-paced fight. I think the winner does score well. I like all the mid-tier fights on this one. We only have 11 fights. That means 6 winners, and to be honest, I would not be shocked if we have all 11 favorites win, and we have a dog that scores like 40 get on the optimal. We've seen that multiple times. It happens more on shorter cards. So, yeah, give me the mid-tier over stars and scrubs. Give me Gabe Green in this fight. Hopefully he puts on his wrestling shoes.
Yeah, makes sense. There has been a decent amount of money coming in on Gabe Green, open around +110. Like I said, sitting around -135 now. So we did go through the number, through the 100 number there, which you don't see all that often. So certainly something to pay attention to. Maybe Green can get the wrestling chops, as you said, going in this one. Drew, let's throw it to you. What do you see? Brian Battle and Gabe Green.
Yeah, so I got Gabe Green at 32% and Battle at 27%. So pretty close there. I
will say, because that fight got canceled, and that was going to be one of the more popular fights on the card, ownership is now way different.
Everyone's bumped 5% or something, maybe.
Because that was like combined one of the highest owned fights on the card. P. Rodriguez was one of the highest owned dogs. Levy was one of the highest owned favorites. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I guess just bump everyone 5% would be a general rule,
right?
But something like that.
Yeah,
which is fair. Yeah, I feel like we had this happen 2 or 3 weeks ago, right before we got on. Literally there was a big fight
every week now. It's sad. I put in the Discord pre-pandemic. Fights never got canceled. Now it feels like it's rare if a fight doesn't get canceled. So, yeah, just how it is.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry to interrupt you, though, Drew.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this fight. I mean, they're obviously from viewing it from the female fight above, the pricing is pretty similar. The odds are just switched, right? The higher, the expensive girl or the expensive guy here has got the better implied odds. So I think ownership's going to be even higher. So I really don't like that spot. I really don't like the Gabe Green spot. Again, for a short card, you're going to need the win equity. Like you're just going to have to some winners, and you're going to have to find value where you can. But I don't like it from a leverage spot. You'd be 33, we'll bump 7% owned. So I'm kind of torn on this fight as well. The Vegas is, or not Vegas, the projections love Gabe Green. The things that I look at too is, what do optimizers spit out? So it looks like between these first two fights, I know we're just getting started, but Gabe Green's going to be at least, 35%, if not higher. And I don't like it from GPP perspective. But again, that's just from an ownership view.
All right, we'll keep it moving to the second and last fight in the women's division. Ji Young Kim and Mandy Boehm are a combined 0-6 in their last 6 fights. But yeah, someone doesn't have to win. It could be a draw. You never know. But likely we'll get a winner here. One of these two fighters probably breaking their losing streak. It is Kim, decent favorite here, sitting around kind of varying odds, to be honest, but minus 205 to minus 250 I'm seeing on Kim, depending on where you look. The title of this fight is pretty heavy favorite to go the distance, which is obviously something we don't like in general, unless, of course, one of the fighters can control it on the ground. But neither of these two ladies has really any history of attempting takedowns. So seems like a fight that will take place mostly on the feet and go the distance. Not something we're often too interested in DFS. Is that how you see it, Title?
I absolutely see it the same way. Least favorite fight on the card. Now, there is a case to be made for Ji Kim because of ownership-wise. There's only 11 fights on this card. It's hard to get different. Kim will be one of the lowest owned fighters, just who she's surrounded by. But let's just say she even puts up 150 significant strikes in a decision win. Like, there are studs up top that could still even outscore that. So I won't have much. 20 entry, I'm going to have none of it. Mandy Bum, I like to call her, absolute cheek, shouldn't even be in the UFC. I don't think she wins. Ji Kim, 8,900 is expensive. I don't think she finishes. Mandy Bum, as far as Kim, yeah, she is 0-4 in the last 4. However, she could be 2-2. I thought she beat Priscilla Cachoeira, close fight. Jocelyn Edwards was a split decision. So she's a better striker. She does throw decent volume. I think it stays on the feet. I think it stays at range. If I had to play one of them, I would rather Kim because I think she's going to be lower owned. I think Boehm, shouldn't keep calling her Bum. She probably would still beat my ass. So if she's out there and you're watching, I'm sorry.
No, I don't know. I think I get title on this one.
I'm gonna say her. I don't want to get step in the octagon and find out. So Mandy Boehm, I think she'll be over-owned regardless. People will want. I guess like if she scores 35 or 40 in a loss at 7,300 and every favorite wins, like I'm saying, yeah, that could be a path. But I don't think she wins. I want to try and find a winner down below. Can by decision, but yeah, I don't like this fight for DFS.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing for me. Drew, thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I have them pretty close in ownership. I got them about 20% for Ji Kim and 23% for Mandy Bum. I won't have any Bum. I'll have a little bit of Kim. I think the ownership, again, if we don't like Title thinks all the favorites are going to win or have a really strong chance, which the top of the card looks great from a pricing standpoint. So you probably don't. I mean, no one needs to go to Kim at 8,900. She is expensive for not finishing out the fight. It's going to go to decision most likely, but I do like her. I mean, if she's going to be sub 20% on a card of 11 fights, give me some Kim at 8,900 and some like really leveraged GPP spots. Again, 20 max, it's not necessary. There's some studs that are really, really worth paying up for an extra $400 and stuff. But yeah, no Bum. Give me a little bit of Kim.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like my 150, I'm not going to X out Kim because it'll help you make different. If 20 lineups and below though, which is how I make the playbook, if you're only playing 20 lineups or a couple lineups, like props to you if you can click that button. I cannot, that's for sure.
Yeah, no Mandy Cheeks from the three of us.
No.
The next fight on the card. The fight's getting a little bit better now. This is one between two UFC veterans, Cody Stamen and Douglas Silva de Andrade. It is Stamen, who's a decent favorite, sitting around minus 160-ish. This one, though, another one that is expected to go the distance per the betting odds. Title. Obviously, we've seen both these guys in the octagon a number of times over the years. Two older fighters fighting at 135 here in the bantamweight division. What do you see, Andrade and Stamen?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Cody Stamen, it's a clash of styles. Cody Stamen's a wrestler, averages 2.47 takedowns per 15 minutes. Douglas Silva de Andrade, 37 years old, but the most ripped, powerful 37-year-old you'll ever see. 20 of his 27 wins by knockout. Google him if you haven't looked him up. Dude is absolutely shredded. So I look at this. I think Douglas Silva de Andrade will be somewhere around like 28%. I think Cody Stamen will be like 23 or something. I think the dog will be higher owned. Pretty close line, $800 savings goes a long way on this card. And if you look at the inside the distance prop, De Andrade plus 200, Cody Stamen plus 500. So this fight's slightly favored to go to decision because Vegas books think the favorite wins who will not finish. And I agree with that. If there's a finish in this card, I think it's De Andrade knocking him out with all the power. Cody Stamen's going to need wrestling. He's going to need takedowns, going to need top control. Douglas Silva de Andrade does have some pretty good takedown. He has okay takedown defense, 69%, but he does have a good get-up game when he is taken down. So that means there's two things. Either Cody Stamen can chain takedowns and get like 10 of them because Andrade gets back up, he'll dump him back down, maybe eventually gets tired and Stamen just wears him out that way. Or Stamen can mix in a couple takedowns, Andrade gets back up, and then it goes back to range. And if that's the case, both guys pretty low volume on the feet. Stamen's definitely worked on his striking. His volume's been a little better as of late, but he's not going to want to take chances in the pocket with De Andrade. And De Andrade, on the other hand, only averages a little over 3 significant strikes per minute, mainly picks his power shots. So I'm going to be underweight on this fight. I think De Andrade is going to be overowned because people see the money line, people see his finishing odds. And again, value is really tough on this card. 7,700 opens up a lot. So I think he'll be overowned. And man, I think Stamen can get the wrestling going. But more so than that, like I like others in this range more. I like the Gabe Green battle fight more. I like the Rose Clark fight more when it comes to ownership as well. I think Andrade, I'm going to say that his get-up game is good enough. This fight's more boring and plays out more at range. I'll have more Stamen compared to the field than I will De Andrade. He'll be lower owned, a little leverage spot there. And he does have the wrestling upside if he gets it going. But I'm going to hope this fight's not optimal mainly.
Makes sense. That's Stamen, De Andrade. Drew, let's throw it to you. What do you see between these two?
Yeah, so we've had this issue before. So I'll ask Title. What do you think? So I got the ownership split. So what do you think that Andrade comes in at? Because even with Sabre, they have Stamen at 30% and Andrade at 24%. So
I got 27, 22.
So 27 for Andrade.
22 for Stamen, yeah.
All right. Let me just update that and see what happens. Because I think you picked out a couple pretty good points. So like one, if it goes to decision, Stamen's not going to be a very good score at 8,500. With takedowns, I just don't see like at 8,500. It's a weird price point with building lineups, especially if you're going to try to build up with the 5-round fight and a couple of the other studs over 9K. So at 8,500, it's probably my least favorite. Probably literally is probably top 3 worst plays that I got. But the Andrade, just from an upside standpoint, the dude's going to finish. If he could finish, and he's at 27%, I have a pretty good leverage spot on that. 7,700 fits a lot of good lineups. That's kind of the salary. I only have like 2 other guys that are in the 7s that I really like want to lean on. And Andrade, you don't see it very often, but with the money line being lower on Andrade and the inside the distance being higher, like I want to capitalize on upside. If he's going to finish and he's at 7,700, he's going to have a pretty good score. So I have him, I think, 4th on my list of like optimal scores at the ownership. So I probably won't have any Stamen and just have Andrade and just hope for a ceiling round from Andrade, a knockout in round 2 or better, and go from there. Even in round 3, just a knockout, I guess, would be enough, assuming there's enough significant strikes. But yeah, I really do like Andrade here.
It makes sense to me. I mean, Andrade just finished his last 2 fights, one in round 1, one in round 2, scored pretty well in each of those. Like we mentioned, dogs are going to be, we think, pretty tough to come by on this card, and Andrade does have the power to finish early. Not like Cody Stamen is some unbeatable dude, and Andrade can't pull off the upset there. So that does make some sense to me, Drew. I think I'm with you on liking Andrade a little bit better in DFS here.
I mean, he would have to be like 40% on for me to think he's overweight.
Yeah, he definitely won't be that. But I could see like 33, 34. Like you said,
I like
clicking 8,500.
Yeah.
And then, you'll definitely like him.
Yeah, makes sense. We'll keep moving to the next fight. We go to the heavyweight division. Old friend, the Vanilla Gorilla, Chase Sherman, big underdog here against Carl Williams, who's been kind of steamrolled his first two opponents. A lot of wrestling. This seems like a pretty bad spot to me for Chase Sherman. It's still bizarre to me that the UFC can't get better heavyweight quality in general, but
put on some pounds to start training, DC.
I don't know how many pounds I need to put on, but yeah, and I don't know.
Probably a lot.
the other part of it, we'll pass. I got my own heavyweight fight somewhere in the card someday coming down, so we'll wait for Mr. Call.
It wasn't whatever he was supposed to say. It was not supposed to, whatever he was about to say was not supposed to happen. I'll throw you cut out. So whatever you're about to say, it was not supposed to be said on air. We'll just go with that, and I'll take it. You're back now, DC. You cut out though. Carl Williams, Chase Sherman. I mean, we just saw this fight was supposed to happen last month, and it burned everyone. Carl Williams was like 57% owned, right at lock. Chase Sherman's out. Carl Williams, this fight's canceled. Carl Williams was 57% owned. Discord was all pissed, etc. So the only thing that's going to beat Carl Williams is if Chase Sherman pulls out again. I mean, it's wrestler versus striker. Carl Williams on the contender series, he took on a former Penn State wrestler, very good wrestler. Took him down 3 minutes, had all the control time in the world. Then fights Bresky in his debut, 8 takedowns, a lot of control time, broke the slate. Man, Chase Sherman, no takedown defense, bad off of his back. Carl Williams is going to shoot for a lot of takedowns. Williams is more position over like ground and pound, so this could easily go to decision, but I think you want this fight to go to decision if you're Carl Williams, because that means probably 13 plus minutes of control time, multiple takedowns. The thing is, there's no lock in this upper tier because 9,400 is definitely expensive. 200 more, Gelatin Almeida in the main event. He's like minus 300, something to finish. Carlos Ulberg at 9,300, one less, minus 225 to finish. Like this upper tier is so loaded. So Carl Williams, a great play, has all the upside in the world. Chase Sherman, the thing is, so when they were supposed to fight, Sherman was supposed to fight Chris Barnett. So he was priced at like 8,800. And then Carl Williams stepped in on short notice. So it was like a 9,500, 8,800 fight. Now Sherman's priced appropriately way down below. I won't call it anyone. It's 11 fight card. Sherman will be one of the lower owned fighters on the card. Like if he can keep it on the feet, he probably should win the striking. You'll get very low ownership and massive leverage off of Williams. It's not for me, but on cards like this, you got to do things uncomfortable if you don't want to be holding hands with everyone in the winner. So that's the case for Sherman game theory. But yeah, I think Williams takes him down, probably just controls him for 15 minutes, but I wouldn't be surprised with the finish.
Yeah, I mean, Sherman's, plus 300. It's not impossible that he would win this fight. If he does, probably an early knockout, right, is the most likely thing for a Sherman win, I would think. I don't see him winning a decision here, honestly, against a wrestler. So, yeah, not the craziest thing to do if you do play Sherman and he does pull it off. You can play straight chalk, beyond that because you're going to be different already. So that does make some sense to me. Hard to pick Sherman, obviously. No one's picking Sherman, but just from a DFS game theory perspective, I do think it maybe makes some sense. Drew, your thoughts here, Sherman and Williams?
Yeah, same thing. Like I think there's other guys up top that I would rather spend up for. And I know the inside the distance number on Williams looks pretty good, and he looks like he's going to have a strong chance of a KO in any of the rounds. So I see these guys from a DFS perspective pretty even as far as exposure. I really don't want to be overexposed to Carl Williams. And I'll probably be a little bit overweight on Sherman just at the price. And like you said, I mean, I got him at like 25% implied odds to win. And at 6,800, if you can get a dog that's right, he's only going to be probably 16% owned. So it won't be like a high number. I'd probably try to match the field or just slightly over. But Carl Williams looks like the winner. But from a DFS perspective, I don't like Carl Williams in my lineups. And I'll have a little bit of Chase Sherman actually.
Any chance title? Looking at Sherman's, it's a small sample size, but Williams, like you said, doesn't throw a ton of volume. He's not able to get that many takedowns. I mean, could he win this fight but not score super well? It seems possible to me, at least.
Yeah, but I think if he wins this fight, it's going to be takedowns and top control, which does score well on DraftKings. On the feet, he's wild. I mean, I give Chase Sherman the advantage. I mean, Williams has more power, but Sherman can throw a nice lat calf kick and can pump out the jab. I just think Williams won't want it on the feet, and he's taken down better wrestlers than Chase Sherman. So I think it's more takedown and top control is how he'll get it done. And if you tell me it's on the feet, I'd have a bunch of Chase Sherman.
Yeah, I think that all makes sense. We'll keep it moving to the next fight on the card. Two longtime UFC veterans, Court McGee and Matt Brown has been around forever, it seems like. 25-19, Matt Brown. He's still cashing checks, so good for him. Court McGee, though, pretty decent favorite here, sitting around -225. Matt Brown, of course, sitting around +185. Statistically, these fighters are almost mirror images of each other. Some, kind of moderate striking volume, but they get hit close to about the same as they dish it out. And then some wrestling from each of Court McGee and Matt Brown. Obviously, two older guys, two veterans. Kind of surprised the line is as wide as it is. These fights seem like they can kind of go either way to me, but we'll throw it to you, Title, for your opinion. Court McGee and Matt Brown.
Yeah, so Matt Brown even opened -160, and right away Court McGee got by to like a -160 favorite. It's the offshore. The line's up for like 15 minutes. Someone hammers it, and it moves. But and then Court McGee's got by ever since. And yeah, at first it looks wide, but the line is where it is literally just because what game plan is Court McGee going to come in with? If he puts on the wrestling shoes, it's a minus. He is going to be -300 in this fight. Matt Brown, poor takedown defense, 64%. Court McGee is a good wrestler, has good top control, averages like 1.6 takedowns or something per 15. The problem is, a couple fights ago, it's hard. You can never trust Court McGee after a couple fights ago. Fought Carlos Condit. It's Carlos Condit, just like Matt Brown, another really old guy, awful takedown defense, a good striker, and Court McGee shot no takedowns. If he wanted to take him down, he would have won that fight. The thing is, though, like Carlos Condit, an old guy, Court McGee, an old guy, Matt Brown, an old guy. This is in front of fans. Like, what if these two just want to throw down in the middle and put on a show for everyone? If that's the case, yeah, Matt Brown is going to be – he's my favorite dog on the card probably if I knew that would be the case. However, Court McGee, if he mixes in takedowns, you could look at 3 takedowns, 10 minutes of control time, some nasty ground and pound. And for the cardio, Matt Brown used to have good cardio, but he's 42 now, and his cardio is definitely suspect. Which Court McGee, his cardio is still checking out for me. So I think it's Court McGee, like especially when you like look at a line, like this feels wide. Yeah, it does feel a little wide. Then you dive into it a little more, and it's like, yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah.
Please put your wrestling shoes on, Court McGee, and he has all the upside in the world at 8,700. But dogs suck on this card. Matt Brown's one of the most live dogs on the card, and you can pick a clear path. If Court doesn't wrestle, coin flip fight, Matt Brown's one of my favorite dogs because I don't like many dogs on this card. So yeah, I'm expecting a fun fight. Two old men, 2 old legends going at it, but I'm gonna take Court McGee.
This seems like one if you somehow get inside the camp of Court McGee and find out.
Oh yeah,
because
you make all the money.
Yeah, I'm friends with a few UFC guys, and like they definitely have a plan on what they're going to do going in. Obviously, none of us are privy to this particular fight. Drew, what do you see here? Court McGee and Matt Brown.
Yeah, so I got ownership right around 27% for Court McGee, 20% for Matt Brown. So pretty close relative to their pricing and the Vegas odds. I think Title hit on a good point. I mean, honestly, the biggest discrepancy I see is between like the submission numbers. So like Court McGee is the only. I mean, he actually has a slim chance, but a chance of winning via submission. So I see that as like a wrestling bias. Overall, from a DFS perspective, I think both are in your player pool. I don't see either going overweight. I'm underweight on both. And honestly, if I didn't have either in any lineups, I'd be okay with it. But I think they're worth fitting in. Like I don't see how Court McGee gets in a ton at the projection that I have for him, but I could see Matt Brown fitting some builds, and I would just be cautious not to go overweight. I just don't want to be overweight on this fight. So nothing really stands out. It looks pretty blah to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Might end up being a pretty blah fight, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's Matt Brown, Court McGee. We will move now to the main card, such as it is. We do continue with a couple of more veterans, Alex Morono and Tim Means. It is Morono, decent favorite here, sitting around -220 or so. This one, pretty much a coin flip to finish inside the distance or not. Both these fighters, again, coming off a loss. But yeah, Morono, 6 years, the junior of Tim Means, which is always something that I think we like. Title, what do you see here? Tim Means, Alex Morono.
Yeah, you go from Court McGee and Matt Brown, and then you throw Tim Means all in the same boat right there, fighting back to back in here. I mean, Tim Means has been doing this thing for a long, long time. He's this is 47th pro fight, and this will be his 27th fight in the UFC. So you got to be a gamer, you got to be an all-around fighter if you're making it that long. But the thing is, he's been in plenty of wars, and what catches up to you is the durability. And he used to be very tough. He used to be able to take a punch, but I'm concerned with his chin. Max Griffin knocks him down. Nico Price knocked him down. D-Rod knocked him down. Like the chin, he just can't take a punch like he once did. He's a gamer. He throws, he mixes in the kicks well. He throws good volume. He can mix in wrestling a little bit. I think it'll mainly stay on the feet here. But yeah, Tim Means well-around fighter. Same can be said about Alex Morono, though. Also throws good volume, little over 5 significant strikes per minute. It is worth noting, though, he definitely didn't look good on the scales. He did make weight. He was drained out. So, yeah, which made me like Tim Means a little more. We need to pick dogs. Him, Matt Brown right there, 2 old dogs that I'll be overweight on, near the same price. But at the end of the day, if you're telling me who's going to win, one guy I feel better taking a punch in Alex Morono. He's been knocked out 3 times, too. So it's not like I think his chin's great. And with the weight cut, I'm a little concerned. But I know Tim Means can't take the same punches he used to. So I think this will be a fun fight, a high-paced fight. They meet in the middle. They throw a lot of volume. I give the cardio advantage to Morono. He does throw a little more volume, and I give him the durability advantage. So I do lean him. But when it comes to it, I might have more Tim Means than I will Morono, just because that 1,400 price difference will go a long way. So, yeah, I think this is another fun fight. And slightly favored to finish. I think Morono could finish it late, could finish it early with Tim Means. But Tim Means, he still can crack, and Morono doesn't have the best chin. So this one is pretty tough for me. Yeah, Tanner and Champ, Morono looked forward on the scales. Definitely. I liked Morono more before I saw that than I do now, but I'll be overweight on this fight. Morono with the scales and Tim Means with the chin. A lot of variance, a lot of volatility, and that's usually good for DFS.
Yeah, I kind of like the Means, Matt Brown, these plus 180s, 4 veteran fighters. I could see everyone kind of just trying to throw down, maybe trying to get a fight of the night bonus where they're both landed strikes deep into the fight. I kind of like FanDuel has a plus 170 either fighter to win via KO or TKO, and this one seems like a decent bet to me. Drew, let's start to you. Morono Means, what do you see?
Yeah, I think the fight's right around 52%, 54% to finish inside the distance. So definitely a little bit livelier than the last fight we saw here in this mid-range. Ownership's all over the place. So Sabre has them almost the same. I've seen some other sites that are, they're split with Morono close to 30% and Means under 20%. So we'll see how that shakes out tonight into early tomorrow morning with obviously the fighters being scratched today. But the leverage spot, I think there is some leverage on Morono. I don't see a lot of action for me from a projection standpoint, but there's definitely some leverage on Morono at the price with the other high price fighters. You could find this was similar to who was that up there? Jiyeon Kim. So like at the same price or close to the same price, it's going to be hard to squeeze in a Morono or Jiyeon Kim if you're going to pay up for 2 of these next few fighters we're about to talk about. So I think there is leverage on Morono. I don't want to be overexposed to this fight necessarily either. So I'll have a sprinkle of Means, won't be much, and I'll probably have some Morono and then just try to match the field again. Probably be under the field on both. Quite a bit under on Means and just slightly under on Morono. But again, not a fight that I'm really targeting.
Yeah, Drew, it sounds like these next 4 fights that we'll talk about, it sounds like you'd probably be over the field on
yes.
a few of them. Because, you'll be going for the late charge in DFS contests. Let's talk about those last 4 fights. We do get to some real prospects here. Carlos Ulberg in particular has looked pretty good in these last 3 fights. Quick finishes from him in the last 2. He'll fight your Potiera coming off a win against Shogun Rua, right, in his last fight. But yeah, Ulberg's been the more impressive one to me. Obviously, that's reflected in the line here. Ulberg, the second biggest favorite on this card, sitting around minus 420 or so right now. This fight, I imagine, pretty big favorite to finish inside the distance. Seems like the market is expecting a Carlos Ulberg knockout here. Title, Is that how you see this fight going down?
Yeah, it looks pretty simple. Looks too good to be true. I mean, Ulberg open minus 285. Now is over minus 400. He's Izzy's boy. He came from kickboxing, trains with them. You can tell in his stance. Very few people are going to outstrike him at range. Got a lot of power. So he made his UFC debut against Kennedy Ncheku, who has looked really good as of late. And Ulberg was absolutely putting him on him in the first round. He landed like 150 significant strikes, and that fight only won 1.5 rounds. Then he gassed after round 1, though. Kennedy somehow took all the punches. He gassed, and after that loss, it looked like he learned. He doesn't go balls to the wall now, fights at a slower pace where he can keep the cardio, which is a little concern for DFS, because if this does get out of the first round, like if you were told me Carlos Ulberg doesn't get a first-round knockout, I would hardly have any. I would play Carl Williams way over him. I would play Gelatin Almeida way over him. I would like other favorite, like Morono, Tim Means, or not Tim Means, Morono and Court McGee, like the ownership discount there. But I think round 1 knockout is very live. I mean, Ihor, this dude's not good. He beat Shogun. Didn't even look good in that fight. Shogun was piecing him up a little bit in the beginning, and Shogun was way over the hill. Ihor's cheeks. Ulberg's not cheeks. It's going to stay on the feet. Ulberg's going to knock him out. It's just when. And you hope it's the first round at this price. He's probably not optimal. Yeah. I got first round, though.
Yeah, another line I like here. Ulberg KO or TKO in round 1 plus 165 seems pretty good. I mean, better than, I think, laying minus 420 just to win the fight in general. So, yeah, if you want to bet Ulberg, that's where I would look. Drew, what do you see Ulberg and Potiera? Do you see this fight going any different than it seems like the public expects it to go?
No, I don't. And this one probably has the biggest discrepancy with ownership with Levy getting scratched. I think Levy was close to 35-40% owned, and so I have Ulberg around 36%. I assume that's going to be closer to 45%, and I want to, as much as I can, of Ulberg. He would have to be like close to 60% for me to completely fade it. I think he gets the round 1 knockout. Even if it's really he's hitting heavy and he goes into round 2, he could get a pretty good chance. He's got a 61% chance in round 2 or round 1. So 41% inside of round 1. Give me a lot of Ulberg. As far as Potiera, I'll probably leave him in my pool and just be at like 10% and just have a sprinkle in case something weird happens. But Ulberg all the way, I mean, I'm going to have like 60-70% Ulberg.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. I'll be surprised if this one goes a different direction than everybody is expecting. Let's move to the next fight. Fun one here, I think. Young Gary, who's undefeated, 11-0 in his MMA career, fighting Daniel Rodriguez. It is Gary, pretty big favorite in this one, sitting around minus 300 or so, depending where you look. I've seen some people on the Twitter machine calling Gary a little bit overrated, calling for the Daniel Rodriguez upset. I could see it. Title, though, let's go to you. Rodriguez, Gary, what do you see?
Yeah, I do think Gary's overrated. I'm definitely the future, all this, the champ. I do not see it at all. But you have to know when to fade these guys, and I don't think this is the spot. He opened minus 212, now like minus 300. So, yeah, it's tempting to bet D-Rod in this because D-Rod is the best fighter he's going to fight. The problem is when you look at it in the style, D-Rod's 36 years old. He's just a boxer. He plots forward. Whereas Gary, he's way faster on the feet. He's a good counter puncher. He can bounce around on the outside. I'm going to be underweight on this fight. I think with Ian Gary's name, he's 9K. He is a couple $100 less than the Ulbergs, the Williams, the Almeidas of the world. So he's definitely still going to get ownership. And D-Rod is going to be one of the most chalky dogs. He throws a lot of volume. People are looking to fade Gary. He's cheap. Like this could be if all favorites win, D-Rod could easily end up on the optimal because I think he goes to decision. I think Gary wins. D-Rod could still land 90 significant strikes, 100 significant strikes, and get there as a loser if dogs don't come through. But I think he's going to be over-owned. Ian Gary, yeah, I mean, D-Rod's really, really tough. We haven't seen him finished until last fight. So I'm going to say he can D-Rod will be able to eat Gary shots. I mean, Song Kanong dropped Gary, almost survived all 15 minutes. Song Kanong is not really UFC level. So I think Gary bounced around the outside. He counter punches well, kind of like the Gabe Green fight. D-Rod just plots forward. Gary gets the better decision. You go decisions pretty close on the judges' scorecards, but Gary by decision, and I'll be underweight on this fight for DFS.
Yeah, all makes sense to me. Drew, what do you see here between Gary and Rodriguez?
Yeah, same thing, and it's a lot of his price point. But Gary, I got him at 32%, and Rodriguez at 21%. Again, that could fluctuate, 5 or 10%. But yeah, I think Gary will be in the player pool. We'll see how many lineups I actually get of him because I'm going to have some strict rules for this top range. But yeah, I see him winning, and it's interesting though. Like Title just talked about Rodriguez stepping forward to try to throw some punches. Gary's going to counter that with more punches. So I could see that actually working to Gary's benefit. And again, at the price, there's just more upside, I think, for some of these other fighters above him. But he seems like he'll get the win. I think you can match the field with Gary and be just fine. I'll be underweight, like Title said. I'll be way underweight on Rodriguez. I'll be a slightly underweight on Gary. That's the goal. I could be way underweight on Gary based on what I said. But yeah, it's an underweight fight.
Yeah, makes sense. That's 3 for 3 there. I think on Gary maybe being a little bit over-owned on this card. Let's get to the final 2 fights of the card. First one, essentially a coin flip between Johnny Walker and Anthony Smith, at least in terms of the betting market. Obviously, 2 guys that have been around a while, too. Good fighters, guys that are fun to watch. This should, I think, that'll be a pretty fun scrap. It is expected to finish inside the distance, but neither of these guys throws a ton of volume, not a ton of wrestling from either guy. So, yeah, if this one doesn't finish early, I could potentially see some lower DFS scores for these two. What do you see here between Walker and Smith?
Literally everything you just said. And this is why I like playing a lot of lineups. And I'm going to be close to the field on both these guys. Because like you said, it's going to go 2 ways. It's going to go how Vegas thinks, minus 380 to finish. Both guys have power. Both guys have questionable durability at this time in the career, and you get an early bonk. Or this fight plays out of range. They respect each other's power. Walker averages 2.8 significant strikes per minute. Smith averages 3.04. So are they going to stare at each other for the first 10 minutes of the fight and just trade leg kicks, trade jabs? And if that's the case, this fight's definitely going to have a lot of ownership. 8,200, 8K, very easy when dogs are tough to come by. You go to this fight, you see it's minus 380 to finish, you plug one of these guys in. And rightfully so. Like I said, I'll be close to the field on both. But like you said, I mean, I can easily see a path where this is a boring fight fought at range. I mean, if anyone remembers the Johnny Walker, Thiago Santos fight, the worst 5-round fight of all time, I could see it going like that as well. So, yeah, this is a fight. I've had leans on pretty much every single fight coming up to this one. This is not going to beat me either way. If it's the most boring fight, awesome lineups without it. If it's a fun fight, Walker knocks him out, Smith knocks him out, that's fine with me. And again, it's minus 110 a piece. Like if I had to price these fights, I would literally put it at a coin flip as well. Anthony Smith has been there. He's done that. He's a smart fighter, very high IQ. He's always in the booth talking about fights. Johnny Walker's way more athletic, though. He's the younger fighter. He has the height and the reach advantage. He has more power. Smith has been finished a lot. I'll take the little younger fighter, the more athletic fighter, the guy with more power. Anthony Smith, he just got his leg. I thought he broke his ankle. He did, but his ankle is fine. But ankle I have absolutely tore it up. Walker can trade some leg kicks. He can do that as well. But who knows who's going to win this fight? Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be boring? I don't know. Give me match the field on both of them. This fight is not going to kill me either way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm with you. I'll take Walker over Smith here. I'll take the younger, more explosive guy. I've got more question marks on Anthony Smith's chin at this point in their careers, and I think Walker's a more powerful striker. Maybe technical advantage to Smith, but I don't think this fight's necessarily going to come down to that. I think both guys will land their fair share. I think Walker has better chance to do some serious damage when he does land. Drew, start to you. Anthony Smith, Johnny Walker, what do you got for ownership, and what side do you lean here?
Yeah, super close fight. So I got them both at around 30%. So it could be 32 Walker, we'll call it, and 30% Smith, but right around 30%. And I think I got to have a piece of this fight. And most lineups at the price, I feel like every week we get a fight right at 8K, and they just fit so many builds. And this one has some of the highest upside if it does finish inside the distance. I lean Walker a bit. So they're both at right at 42% to win inside the distance. Like Title said, I'll probably just match the field, but Walker grades out extremely well for me from a points perspective. But again, that's why I set an ownership cap, because I don't want to have 100% Walker or 75% Walker. But yeah, I definitely lean Walker. If I had the salary to get up to Walker, I would play him over Smith. But this is a fight I want, kind of a mixture of both sides, and it could go two different ways, like Title said. So I really do like this fight a lot. So I might set a rule. If I was playing 20 max, I would probably have one of these fighters in every lineup. That's how I would kind of approach it.
Makes sense. That's Walker and Smith. Let's get to the main event, which is also the widest discrepancy in lines on the entire card. Jailton Almeida, who's been very impressive in his 4-fight run through the UFC. He finished all 4 of those fights? I think maybe he has. Yeah, finished all 4. 3 in round 1. Lowest DFS score among the 4, 114 DraftKings points. And he's minus 500 over a good striker, but a pure striker in Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Obviously people expecting the wrestling of Almeida to come through here against Rozenstruik, a true clash of styles. Kind of hard to see it going any other way for me. Tado, what do you see here, Rozenstruik and Almeida?
Yeah, the kickboxer and Rozenstruik needs to bonk him before Almeida gets a takedown, because if he does, it's probably over shortly after.
Yeah.
You call him the Brazilian Habib. Very easy to see why. He gets the takedown. He wraps the legs. His grappling, he's always a step ahead. It was a couple fights ago, DC, where we're like, this guy, rear naked choke is his go-through. Every single move he sets up on the ground is for a rear naked choke. So we were trying to find the betting market, and it was like minus.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And it was like plus 100 for the rear naked choke. Of course, he rear naked chokes him that fight. The books are too sharp. But literally everything he's such a good grappler. He's so slick on the mat. He was debating between fighting at light heavyweight or heavyweight. Definitely don't think he goes down to light heavyweight now. I mean, these guys are up top in the heavyweight division. They don't have those grappling credentials. They just aren't as fast on the feet. He still has the strength advantage. I mean, and the dude's a stud. Like, the guy is who can beat John Jones? Jailton Almeida is one of the scariest guys for John Jones. I don't think John Jones is going to be around long enough for Almeida to finally get the chance. But this guy's grappling is on a different level. When he gets it on the mats, he's a step ahead of everyone. So, yeah, if it's on the feet, we don't see him on the feet. I mean, he can get bonked, but I don't think he's a smart fighter. He knows what his strength is. He knows what his weakness is. I don't think he's going to try and strike with Rozenstruik. So, yeah, one takedown probably all it takes in this one.
It'd be interesting to see Almeida, assuming he continues his run against Pavlovich at some point. True clash of style. That one would be certainly a barn burner, with people having, I'm sure there would be just wildly different opinions on who would win that fight eventually go down. So we'll see down the road. But for now, obviously, it's Rozenstruik Almeida on Saturday night. Drew, let's throw it to you. What do you see between these two?
Yeah, it's a wild number. We don't see this very often for a 5-rounder. He's got a better chance of winning in round 1 than it going to decision. So, I'll have a lot of Jailton Almeida. It's ownership-wise, I got him right around 55%, and Rozenstruik around 16%. So I probably won't have any Rozenstruik. Like, this is probably a spot where I don't even say, get cute and try to match the field or go under the field. I'll just exclude $6,600 guy and try to pepper the mid 7s and the 8s and try to make it work. But Jailton and Almeida, I'll have a lot of. It'll definitely be overweight the field. Try to be like 50% overweight. So like if it's 50% owned, I'll try to be 70%. So I don't see it going any other way. I mean, the dude looks scary. He's obviously winning a lot of fights on the ground, and he looks strong enough to take it on the feet and finish this guy off pretty quick. So I'll have a lot of exposure. I'll find out at the end of the night. Hopefully I'll be sweating this last fight.
Yeah, fight ends in submission in round 1, plus 210 available over at FanDuel. I don't know. Might take a little taste on that one.
Which is crazy. You never see that.
What's that?
It's just crazy. You never see that, especially because the other guy literally cannot get a submission.
No, yeah, I'm not seeing. It doesn't specify which fighter, but I don't think it's that tough them out. That'll do it for this fight night video. Thanks for watching. As always, if you haven't yet, please do hit the like on your way out. Hit the subscribe so you don't miss any of the tons of free content we've got for all sports here on the YouTube channel. Enjoy the fights tomorrow morning, and we'll see you next fight card. For Drew, for Title, I'm DC. We'll check you next time.